Good afternoon, one and all. I, on behalf of IHUB, Government of Gujarat and Department of Higher and Technical Education, welcome you to this special webinar by Dr. Omkar Rai. He is the head of Software Technology Park of India, Director General of Software Technology Park of India. We also have with us Mr. M. Nagarajan, Commissioner of Higher Education, Government of Gujarat, a very senior bureaucrat in the Government of Gujarat, who also happens to be the Honorary Executive Director of iHub. Welcome both the dignitaries today. Welcome you, Nagarajan sir. Welcome you, Omkarji. It is great to have you in this session. I'm sure both of you are going to give us new ideas to discuss, and also people who are participating, mainly the innovators, startups, entrepreneurs, and incubation and academic stakeholders. Today, Dr. Rai is going to talk about the possibilities of startups in the emerging technology areas. I'll come back to that theme a little later. And one thing I must say that iHub is trying to create an ecosystem which will have a very far-reaching impact for inclusive growth of the state and the nation. And technology plays a very important role in that. Both Nagarjun sir and Dr. Rai has demonstrated extraordinary leadership and visionary approach of taking futuristic ideas to ground level and also execute them. Sometimes ideas itself are not that great as they could be great when you implement them. And both of them has implemented futuristic ideas at grassroots level. So today we will learn how exactly this kind of technology can bring a huge impact. So before I start this conversation going, may I now request Nagarjun sir to share his thoughts on how technology could be a lever to create impact both in public and private ecosystem, and innovation and entrepreneurship could be a tool to enable that. Nagarjun sir.
Yeah, thank you, Hiranmai. I am thankful to iHub for getting Dr. Omkar Rai on our panel. It's very inspiring for all of us because he is leading a organization which has software technology and also the growth of IT sector, the spreading of growth of IT sector in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, where STPA has made a name for itself across many years. And it is one of those pioneering projects that was launched by Government of India and has been continuously adding value to the national growth in the technology sector. So that way, it is, I can say, one type of backbone for the growth of IT and IT-enabled services industry, and also the electronics related industry. Long before we had this talk about incubation, co-working space, STPA actually realized those things on the field. They created the convening point and also the infrastructure and also the governance mechanism to bring on board the emerging IT entrepreneurs. Sometimes they could be very small entrepreneurs who are just buying and selling pen drives, to people who are assembling PCs, to people who are then looking at growing up the value chain and becoming an IT solutions provider at every nook and corner of this country. In fact, they are present where no one would expect a technology-based initiative in that place. So that kind of pioneering work that STPA is doing, and he is now leading there, and he also brings with him immense experience in the IT sector and technology sector. And we are glad to have him here. Dr. Omkar, at iHub, we are trying to actually catalyze the innovation and startup ecosystem in the colleges and institutions, because the student startup and innovation policy provides for pre-incubation support to the students. So we are trying to build a bigger funnel for the real world startups by reducing the median age of the students to look at becoming an entrepreneur. So from 22 years or 23 years, when they explore their ideas, now they are able to explore their idea to make it into a POC to product or to take it to market. They can do it in the college itself. That is why this policy provides a sandbox environment for the college students to actually work on their ideas and supported by their mentors and teachers. iHub, as the nodal agency for implementing the SSIP policy, we are trying to connect the students and the mentors and the teachers here to national thought process by bringing leaders like you to share your vision and the experience in this forum. And in Gujarat, we have been trying to do a lot of things, especially where we are trying to solve societal challenges using technology, especially in digital village and also in rural broadband access, because we can see that this COVID pandemic has also brought to light how access to data access to connectivity is very, very important, and also access to devices, so that you are having access to information, and access to information translates into access to opportunity. So if we want to reduce the rural urban divide, if you want to reduce the digital divide, increasing access and connectivity, equitable access to the connectivity and then to technology is a very, very important aspect of it. And also taking this tier 2, like you have taken the technology infrastructure for the startups in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, iHub is trying to take the startup and innovation ecosystem, which we call the software part of the ecosystem, where we are trying to connect the people and build a community. I can confidently say that even a student who is working in a small village and trying to solve a problem can actually become a startup because of our network. Now every college, every university is affiliated to us, connected to us, and we are present in every taluka of Gujarat. That means we are building a diversified and inclusive ecosystem, and we are empowering the local youth to work on local solutions for local problems, which is the crux of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Recently, we had a very viral video that is going on in WhatsApp about how a girl invented a solar-based iron for pressing the cloths. So that is a very impactful initiative, not just for climate change, but also transforming the drudgery of a lot of service providers at a very local level. These kind of solutions we cannot expect from outsiders to come and innovate for us. Hence, it is imperative. Hence, it is imperative for us to encourage the local youth to work on the local problems. And I'm glad that you are here to bring out this message about especially STPI. I have visited a few STPIs in Gujarat and elsewhere, especially in Surat, where I was CEO of the Surat Smart City Initiative. And we are also forming the Surat Smart City Incubator. And that time we were also trying to work with all the ecosystem enablers and players who can come on this single platform to work on collaborating with technology and to find meaningful solutions. I'm glad you're here, and we wish to hear from you, your experiences, your ideas, and take inspiration from you. And we also look forward to collaborating with you in the future days through iHub and also through Education Department, Government of Gujarat. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Nagarjan sir, for putting the context in place. At this outset, I would like to introduce Dr. Omkar Rai to all of you. So Dr. Omkar Rai is the Director General of Software Technology Park of India, which is the premier government organization working for the promotion of IT-enabled services industry in India. He brings over 30 years of experience in this sector, having unique distinction of working very closely with government and the industry. He is an alumni of Banaras Hindu University. He has also received for his enormous contribution towards exemplifying vision of Mahamana Pandit Madan Mohan Malabya in public fora. Banaras Hindu University has conferred the Distinguished Alumni Award to Dr. Rai for his outstanding contribution in bringing transformative changes in IT industry. He has been conferred with DSC by GLA University. Indian Express Group also has conferred the Digital Icon Award for Dr. Rai. Dr. Rai had his education from the prestigious Banaras Hindu University, and he sees technology as a major catalyst and enablers in transforming India for the modern inclusive growth for a new India. Dr. Rai, with that, I would like to welcome you to address us and tell us how the futuristic technology are going to play a critical role for inclusive, equitable growth, and what are the opportunities for startups in the emerging technology in your context?
Thank you, Mr. Hiranmay Mahantaji. Thank you for your very, very liberal introduction. And I would also extend my gratitude towards M. Nagarajanji for very, very nicely summarizing the entire evolution of STPI and the IT industry of India. In fact, I was mesmerized listening his summarization of STPI, which was very tacit, and I am very sure that if some of STPIN from all across the country must be listening his talk or summarization of STPI's work, they must be so happy about it that somebody external person has actually talked like an insider of STPI. So I must thank you for that. And I must say that you are a real person who can really get insight of anything if you put your focus on that. Both of you, I mean Hiranmay Mahantaji, and now I know Mr. M. Nagarajan ji. So going back my association with Mr. Mahanta, knowing about him now, getting acquainted to Mr. M. Nagarajan, and also about the work that I have Gujarat is doing. In fact, I am very confident that there are so many models getting created, success stories getting created, and these are the things which will be finally emulated by rest of the country, and it will really help all the stakeholders to devise ways and means to accelerate the growth of this country in right direction. I am very glad to be here. I have seen the kind of work IHub is doing. I am very excited, and I must say that uh, it's a point of consideration for collaboration with IHub and Government of Gujarat, also with the Department of Higher Education Gujarat, which is being led by CM Nagarajan ji in times to come, and we will be very glad about it. I would just take a clue or leaf from the kind of talk that M. Nagarajanji has given, that how the IT industry of India evolved over a period of time, and how STPI played a great role or a very seminal role in terms of not only promoting the IT industry, uh, nurturing the IT industry, but also dispersing the IT industry of India in smaller towns and cities of this nation. This is the vision that we work and promote the tier one places where industry grows on its own and gets a critical mass, but also to take ways and means and measures to make sure that the fruits of this growth also reaches to the smaller places, the smaller towns of this nation, for not only equitable growth, development, but also for affording opportunity to young boys and girls from these places also, so that they can also be they can also access the same kind of support system, infrastructure, and other resources for realizing their vision, their dreams into reality. I would start by saying that in post-independence, India has seen several revolutions, and I would say that the most importantly, Indian scientists, professionals, technocrats, and policy planners started facing the problem, taking challenges that were ahead of them, and we brought about several revolutions by solving those problems. Uh, Say it green revolution, whether it is white revolution, which emerged from the soil of Gujarat itself. Uh, that has brought a lot of wealth and opportunity for this country. And it also proved that post-independent India is capable of bringing about revolution, facing challenges, solving the problem, to solve the problem that country faces at large. And third most important revolution that India has witnessed and created out of talent, out of demographic strength that we had, is IT revolution of India. If you try to analyze the ultimate success, the tremendous success that India has witnessed in the terms of IT outsourcing industry, it is founded on two drivers, two pillars. First is talent, and second is the cost arbitrage. And third most important pillar was the government's initiative, the ease of doing business, the single window clearance that that was afforded, that was created in form of creation of STPI. As Mr. Nagaraj was briefing you or sharing his point of view about STPI, is that STPI was the first organization in this country which was created to promote, not only provide single Windows clearance system for software exporter, but also to provide much needed infrastructure to them. Satellite based internet, much needed. It was valuable resource we started giving, and then plug and play for SMEs in the IT sector. And thus, now, if we look back the whole story of IT services industry of India, we can look at those figures which talk about the entire story. Is that in year 2019-20, the export made by IT services industry stood about $147 billion, and overall revenue stood at $191 billion. If you look at the kind of employment that has been created by IT services industry at given point of time, it was 44 lakhs engineers and professionals that were employed in this IT outsourcing industry, IT services industry, at all levels of value chain. And most importantly, the IT industry has evolved. It has moved up the value chain, and now it has become an R&D industry. Actually, it is the IT industry which can be seen as a not only IT services industry, but R&D services industry. It has become. It has achieved that place in the entire world. And actually, if I try to correlate the kind of contribution this underline, if I try to underline the kind of contribution this IT services industry of India has made, if you look at if I try to relate it with the number of unicorns that India had created. Now in 2012, it was only one unicorn. And in 2016, it grew to 10 unicorns. Now it is 36 unicorns with overall valuation about more than $100 billion, $119 billion. We are the world's third largest startup ecosystem, with technology startups close to 10,000. And every year, I mean, if you look at the kind of forecast that is being made, by 2022, we will be having 52 unicorns, I mean, soon to be unicorns. And this is the kind of forecast that we have right now. But if you uh, try to understand what has led to creation of this movement in this nation, you will find few things, few pillars behind this success, behind this growth. First, most important is the IT services industry, which actually is doing R&D and product creation for their customers all across the board. And therefore, the startups of this nation get a lot of talent out of IT services industry. They are the people who are actually creating products and technology for their customers, and therefore doing the product development, technology development as a service for their customer. And they are the people who come handy to the startups of this day, today, who actually employ them and use them as a mentors or their employees, and develop those world-class tacit products which are not less than in terms of quality or anything with the products being developed in most advanced countries of this world. And that actually the IT services industry, the talent pool, the kind of experience that we have now, and most importantly the mentor pool that we are getting from this services industry who are working with the startups. So they are the drivers. Now Startup India movement initiative that was launched, ease of doing business, that actually helps startups to take fast decision, to do things with a lot of confidence and self-esteem. That is another driver that we have. And then if you look at upcoming angel or ever evolving angel and investors network, it is also mostly driven out of IT services industry. If you find tie the entrepreneurs network in across the country, most of these people have got a lot of wealth and experience, mostly because of the success that IT industry of industry of India has actually witnessed and created. They are the people who are now veterans, and they are out in the market. They're working with the young boys and girls, startups, not only extending their mentorship, their knowledge, their experience with them, but also their wealth in terms of angel investors. So that is actually getting made available in most of the places in this country, and that also comes very handy. Another very important thing that we can witness right now is the cost arbitrage. Because if you look at the entire industry, startup industry, like Flipkart, like MakeMyTrip.com, Naukri.com, all these platforms that were created are aggregators based on shared economy, Ola cabs, Oyo rooms, and all these kind of things. These are the platforms that were created indigenously within India, from the talent pool that we had within India. And that actually became possible because the caste arbitrage that we had been maintaining. Caste arbitrage, I would like to explain for all those people who don't know about this term, is the cost of doing the same thing with respect to one geography to another geography. Now, if we are trying to develop Flipkart within this country, and at the same time somebody is trying to develop Amazon in US, we will develop Flipkart equal to Amazon on the fraction of cost. Now the model Flipkart or all these platforms is known world over. This is nothing new anymore. But doing a tested technology platform with fraction of cost gives you enough advantage to take a lead, and that's how all these platforms that India is uh, proud of have been developed by indigenous talent because of one more leading factor, that is the caste arbitrage. So if you look at this success, this caste arbitrage, talent and IT services of India actually helped accelerate the entire movement of India in terms of technology startup ecosystem. And that created a lot of wealth apart from creation of confidence and self-esteem. If I look at and try to analyze the success story of iHab, that within 3 years itself, 40 of its young boys and girls started generating revenue somewhere $1 million. And this is some amazing story. But if it could be my conjecture, but if I try to evolve or try to infer my point of view in that, I would definitely like to attribute this success to the a very strong IT outsourcing industry of India, because you are drawing a great talent pool, experienced in doing those things for their customers, coming to your rescue with fraction of the investment that actually your competitors from rest of the world are actually doing. And that is actually making you very efficient and cost effective, and that is giving you a lot of success. Another phenomena that I have started realizing is that India has become the now of late it has started getting the test of technology, and we are actually consuming now technology. One of the most important aspect of any technology startup ecosystem emergency is that if the people of those nations become technology consumers also, because test of your product is if indigenously tested, then only you become tested platform or product, and then you become export worthy. And therefore first market you should get is that you should get indigenous domestically. That is now upcoming phenomena, that is very great, and we must realize that this is a great phenomena which is going to help us at large. Of course, government initiative, all these iHub or STPI or Atal Innovation Mission, Atal Innovation Centers, all these centers are various initiatives from various state governments or various department of the central government. All these stakeholders or the departments are actually doing their bit to make sure that the ease of doing business is maximized, the infrastructure is made available, access to capital, access to infrastructure, as access to mentors can be made available. The administrative cost is met by the government mostly, and that is how the whole uh, investment that has to get into the startup ecosystem is mostly about the services that the startups would get in times to come, and the capital expenditure that would actually that technology infrastructure and service has to be ensured by. So most of the government monies are actually taking care of your mundane expenditure all across the country. This is the characteristic that I am witnessing. The entire administrative expenditure, revenue expenditure, and physical infrastructure is being met by the government grant, and that is how the most of us are able to focus more on those services which are required for those startups, so that they can access to the mentors, the funding, the angel funding, and ultimately access to the market. Now, access to the market is very coming very natural to us, and that is giving a lot of hope. Another very important aspect that we have to now understand is that emergence of India Stack. Now, India Stack is something which actually has to be celebrated. and felt very proud of. Because if India decided to create Aadhaar, biometric based citizen identity, actually this Aadhaar has become not only the biometric identity for our citizen. Actually, it has led to emergence of several entrepreneurial ideas and several entrepreneurs actually tested technology products, and that is actually going to give us not only help us in ease of doing business, in e-governance, in citizen services and all, but founded on this Aadhaar, there are a lot of entrepreneurship and technology products that are actually emerging. Now UPI, we talk about world's largest peer-to-peer money transfer protocol. That is first in the entire world. So Aadhaar is first. Your UPI is first in the world. If you look at GEM, some of you may be knowing about government e-marketplace. Uh, this is actually a platform where it is going to help the SMEs and startup the most, because the entire government procurement has to be made from this government e-marketplace in very transparent and efficient manner, and that is going to help the startups most, because access to the market and the access to the market was the most challenging thing that the SMEs and startups were facing, and this actually has been decimated or wiped out by the government initiative in terms of government e-marketplace. You should be glad to know that sooner the way it is growing, this GEM portal is going to overcome the most of the private e-commerce platforms of the world. You will see very soon, in another few years, you are going to take this pride in India that your GEM portal, government e-marketplace, is becoming the world's largest technology e-commerce platform for the government ever had anywhere. I must say that this emergence of India Stack, now we have seen the announcement of National Education Policy 2020. It may seem to be disconnected or not very connected with the startup ecosystem, but I must say that if you look finer prints of the NAP 2020, you will find that NAP, the vision and objectives of NAP 2020 cannot be realized and fully realized on the ground unless the startups and technologies are evolved and created to make sure that we are able to implement the entire objective in toto. Entire flexible exit, flexible curriculum creation, uh, flexible transfer of credit from one university to other. This is going to require a very strong tacit platform, as good as Aadhaar or as good as UPI platform or as good as GEM platform. And that is how you'll be able to administer the entire spirit of the NAP 2020, around which I am foreseeing emergence of world's largest edu stack, because you are going to digitize entire content. You are going to see tremendous changes in delivery of that content across the country. You are going to see the you know indigenization of the content that we have right now in different vernacular languages. You are also going to see the tacit transformation, a very significant change in terms of the way you deliver those content. Your pedagogy is going to change with the emergent by adopting the emerging technology, animation, visual effect, and augmented reality and virtual reality. So it is going to lead to emergence of world's most strong edu stack. Now, fintech. Fintech is another area where India is witnessing a lot of growth, and technology is being used like anything. This fintech is another stack that India is witnessing, and over a period of time, we are going to be leader in the entire world. All these developments that are happening around us are must are to be watched and seen. I must say that uh, the young boys and girls of this nation are not only witnessing these phenomena, actually they are participating in this phenomena. World over, we have never seen this kind of speed in terms of growth of the startup movement anywhere, the way we are growing in India. I won't just like to use your time for discussing about the kind of initiative STPI is taking. Very quickly, I would summarize, uh, try to summarize that just to capitalize on these emerging technology like artificial intelligence, IoT, augmented reality, virtual reality, animation, visual effect, uh, 3D, drone technology, blockchain, and application of this technology in various sectors like financial technology sector, like medical technology sector, like autonomous connected electric and shared vehicle, IoT in agriculture, all these sectors where these technologies can be made applicable. We are creating center of excellence. We have planned 25 centers of excellence. We have already launched 12 centers of excellence. And we are trying to create a collaborative environment under the leadership of industry veterans and leaders from all across the country, bringing India's largest mentor pool in those forums. And we are trying to see that any young boy and girl from anywhere in this country is not deprived of the same opportunity which is available to the young boys and girls of New York, Washington, and San Francisco. Not for young boys and girls of Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, or Delhi. And for that purpose, when the government of India took another initiative, we call it NPSP 2019, National Policy on Software Product 2019, which again has been founded on the strength of IT services of industry of India. Because as I said, we have done a great in terms of IT outsourcing industry, IT services industry. And then the stakeholders realize that we can soon capitalize on the entire talent and the strength that we have. And apart from growing in the IT services, we can also quickly become a software product nation. For that, a number of initiatives are being taken by the stakeholders, Ministry of Electronics and IT. And to realize the vision of NPSP 29T, wherein we want to make the software product industry of India somewhere between 70 to 80 billion dollar by 2022, and to make to create 10,000 startups from entire country by 2025, with 1,000 essentially coming for smaller towns of this country. For that, as Mr. Nagarajan was mentioning, that STPI is a dispersed organization. We are having 52 centers in tier 2 and tier 3 cities of this country. But apart from that, we are creating the center of excellence in smaller towns and cities of this country, apart from opening in centers of excellence in tier 1. So we are trying to cover the entire country. We were trying to be very inclusive and equitable. For that, we have also come up with the next generation incubation program, which is available only to young boys and girls of smaller towns. It is not available for young boys and girls of tier 1 country, tier 1 cities. And under this initiative, we are offering up to 25 lakhs of seed fund to the selected startups with 10,000 rupees per month internship grant for a year. And this program is going to be very continuously available to young boys and girls under Chunauti program that we have launched under this next generation incubation program. And therefore, I am trying to say that we are one of the small stakeholders of this nation. All such stakeholders like iHub or such others, we are working in tandem. We are working concurrently from one soil to other, and trying to make available much needed infrastructure, much needed support, much needed ecosystem to young boys and girls of this nation. But we would not have been so successful had we not had the IT services industry, most importantly, talent that is needed to create this technology platform. And therefore, the young boys and girls and startups who are understanding the significance of this strength, they are able to develop world-class product from wherever they are. And that is the strength India offers to rest of the world. They have been doing the technology development as a service which is available to you also. And therefore, apart from the incubators that we have, apart from the ecosystem that we are providing to you, you must look at the talent that we have all across the country in the IT industry. And they are the people who are going to help you to develop the products and platforms which are world class. And with the kind of digital adoption that India has witnessed during the lockdown period, you know that you should be actually happy, and you must be happy with this, that during the lockdown, India has seen emergence of new normals. You know that edutech platform, edutech, fintech, all these sectors have got important. Meditech, of course, game tech, I would say, e-sport, and all this content that we have been watching on our OTT platform. All these things are digital. Keenness to have the Wi-Fi, keenness to have broadband at homes has seen a surge in the entire country, even the hinterland, the rural India. So digital footprint is ever evolving. Digital adoption is actually something which is very, very great for this country. Country has shown that young boys and girls and old and youngs, they can all adopt the technology if that is needed. That is something which is new for this nation. And it has happened because of the lockdown that we faced. And that has brought or actually drawn attention towards all these sectors I just mentioned. And that has given hope that we will develop world-class product, we will consume with this nation, we will use the given platform, given infrastructure, given ecosystem that is all around us. And finally, our world-class product will first be tested by our Indians, our people at large in this country. And therefore, the ever evolving digital profile of India, digital adoption of our people, the ever growing domestic market, the availability of talent, the availability of ecosystem around you as a platform for you to try your hand with new ideas, new products for which everything is available around you. All these technologies, I must say that AI, data analytics, or even cloud or SaaS platforms, you see, these are India centric things now. I'm not overstating the success of India and potential of India. You must believe in it. You must live this world now, because this belongs to you wherever you are, because we are the people who will actually master, develop, and adopt these technologies, capitalize on these technologies because of the obvious talent that we have, because of great workforce that we have. And these technologies are driven by the talent that India obviously has. And therefore, at a time when things are getting in place, I am very sure that we will work together. I have STPI or any stakeholder, but I must address to young boys and girls that you come forward, and there is no dearth of support system around you, no dearth of access for you to access the market, to access the capital, to access the talent and mentorship. That is much needed for you. And therefore, the entire forecast that we have today, if we had forecasted in year 2012 that we will have 52 unicorns by 2022, nobody would have believed. If I forecast in front of you today that in another 5 years, India is going to take over China and US in terms of startup industry, ideation, innovation, maybe that some of you may not believe. It may appear you as an overstatement of an enthusiast technocrat, but I must say that this is the kind of things we are witnessing, being almost 30 years with the IT industry and seeing the growth of IT industry in India and the entire transformation that is happening right now. I'm very confident that we are already towards a journey, towards a goal, and journey has already started, the begun, and it's a participative journey where young boys and girls of all across the country are actually looking to create job, looking to innovate, and the importance of innovation, importance of technology product, and the value and the wealth that lies in product creation is understood by us, by all. And that is where I look a great future for all of us. It's a shared future, shared destiny, where all of us will work together. I will be very glad to work with you, with the iHub, Government of Gujarat, and all such other stakeholders. And I would like to conclude that I am very glad to be with you. I am very pleased to be here. And I must express my sincere gratitude to Hiranmay Mahantaji, who actually gave me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Omkarji. Thank you, sir, for sharing how STPI is going to play a role and various components of Indian startup ecosystem. You touched upon India's stack and everything else. I will just come back to Nagarjun, sir, and little bit in the interest of audience, because we have a huge audience listening to this conversation today, Pan India. So Nagarjun, sir, took the initiative to create one tehsil or one region of a tribal district digitally enabled. This was way ahead of time, 6-7 years before. He ensured that it's a Wi-Fi enabled. I remember the Galla Walas, it was way before digital payment wallets came. The Chaya Walas used to collect money through mobile transactions. And he envisaged this thing a decade before, implemented it half a decade before. So Nagarjun said, in the interest of audience, we would like to little bit learn how these kind of ideas get translated into implementation level. What are the kind of technology challenges that we face? What are the kind of systemic challenges that we face? And still, how system level innovation happens by officers like you, and how did you manage that?
Yeah, thank you, Hiranmay, for asking this question. When we are talking about impactful intervention using technology, we always assume that if you provide technology, it is going to be adopted by the people. But once the technology is created and the user adoption, there is a lot of ups and downs that need to be crossed. So that is why our approach should be user-centric about what is the maturity level of the user and how we can make it easy for them to accept, understand, and adopt a new technology. So for example, when we are talking about inclusive development in tribal areas, in people who are from disadvantaged sections, or people who don't have any access to technology, we can all look into our own houses and nearby. A 2.5-year-old child can easily go to YouTube and watch a movie or song very easily. But if the same 2.5-year-old child who is not having any gadget in his home, he will be finding it it is very unnerving for them, and it can even lead them to fear technology. So it is very important that we introduce technology at very younger age, as per the right maturity, but we need to give them exposure to these technologies. And also, for example, we implemented a project for Anganwadi workers where we gave them mobile tablets for data entry and for teaching the children. So through this, we were able to get data. But the challenge we found was 90% of the Anganwadi workers were first-time tablet or mobile users. So they could not even understand how to hold the tablet, and what is a play button, what is where is the sound coming from, and how to charge the device. These are things that we take for granted when we are implementing a project. But if we are going to do a user-centric implementation, which is going to be impactful, we need to start from the ground up and see where people are, and then build solutions for them. That is why we need very localized solutions which are in local languages, and which people we make it accessible. The best use of technology will be that where people don't think there is technology, it just looks like magic. And like Omkar sir has mentioned, the UPI things like India Stack and all these things make a payment look like magic. That is only creating spin-off effects. And we need to converge all our policies and new education policies, providing that right environment for us. So the challenges are many, but we need to have a very localized user-centric approach and adapt the technology for the situation. That is what I would say as a key learning that I had.
Thank you so much, sir. Omkarji, you mentioned about a very ambitious vision of India creating a few dozen unicorns, creating an impact and making impact at the ground level. Does STPI also has some plan to support at least IT and IT-enabled startups if they come to you to get access to your infrastructure and support system? I think I get your microphone.
Of course, Hiranmaji. In fact, the kind of Center of Excellence initiative we have taken, we are trying to, host around 1,000 startups in another 5 years. Now, if I just brief you and even the audience that the centers of excellence, essentially incubators that we have already launched and made operational, are like this: a center of excellence in augmented reality and virtual reality in association with the government of Odisha and IIT Bhubaneswar is is operational in IIT Bhubaneswar. A center of excellence in electronic systems is already operational in STPI Bhubaneswar. A center of excellence in electronic system is already operational in Delhi University South Campus. A center of excellence in industrial efficiency augmentation is going to be implemented in Bangalore. IoT Open Lab in Bangalore, a center of excellence in Meditech in Bangalore, a center of excellence in Meditech in Lucknow, a center of excellence in FinTech in Chennai, a center of excellence in autonomous, connected, electric and shared vehicle in Pune. So similarly, all these centers of excellence are essentially to support the startups. And we are running each and every place a kind of screening process, a kind of hackathon, wherein young boys and girls with ideas are participating. And thereafter, we are handholding them, onboarding them in our center of excellence. And again, I would like to reiterate, these center of excellence are being managed and administered in very, very professional manner in the leadership of the industry leaders and veterans. Just to give example that one center of excellence in autonomous and connected shared and electrical vehicle, which is operational in Pune, is being led by Ganesh Natarajan, former Gensa. Center of Excellence in Augmented Reality and Virtual Reality is being chief mentored by Subrata Bakshi himself in Bhubaneswar. Center of Excellence in Electronic System is being led by Pradeep Gupta, Chairman Cyber Media, and the people like CEO Cadence, CEO Aero Electronics, and all these are the people who are working with. It's not that we are doing, in fact. Similarly, our Center of Excellence in Meditech is being led by Saurabh Srivastava, former chairman, founder of Gensar. Center of Excellence in Financial Technology in Chennai is being led by Arun Jain, founder, Polaris, and founder and chairman of Intellect Arena. These are the people who are actually leading these movements. What I'm trying to say, these incubators are being run most professional manner, most professionally possible manner. And they are world-class people, world-class leaders. So if you are trying to try your hand, innovate in the field of FinTech, in FinTech Center of Excellence, we call it FinBlue Chennai, you are going to have the same mentorship, same resources, same guidance, same access, which is available to your counterpart in San Francisco, New York. That's the kind of movement we are creating in India. It is all led by industry leaders. I gave you some names just to make it easy for you to understand. So this is how all my 25 Center of Excellence will actually be led, administered, managed, and organized by the industry leader directly, not by STPIN. We are here to create that platform, create that collaborative handholding, and then make that Center of Excellence totally professionally managed organization. So that's the way we are doing it. And that is why it is becoming instant success. I must call upon and convey and to the participant, to the audience, to young boys and girls, if they are connected, that go to our websites, participate in our competition screening processes. Based on your choices of the domain and the sector, you try hand in our Center of Excellence. And I am very sure, and you can get that information on your own, that you will get the best class mentorship and infrastructure and support in our incubators that is being run all across the country. Of course, we have already established 12, but we have planned 25, for which action is on way. We are taking initiative and actions. And in another year or so, all these 25 Centers of Excellence will be operational on the ground.
This is very interesting, Omkarji. What you mentioned is
Yes.
Like India Stack, you are creating a stack of support system for different
course.
technology.
Similarly.
And one of the beauty that you have brought on the table is you are getting the best people who have done that to lead that.
Yes, of course.
So it become a very demonstrated point of view that this
Yes.
is how things moves on. And any startup and innovator across this country in fintech can go to Chennai or something like that, and maybe you can create that interface.
Hiranmay, I just have to rush for another meeting, so I request your exemption. And Dr.
Thank you.
Omkar, please excuse me.
Well, I would just say that it was pleasure to be with you, Mr. M. Nagarajan, and it will be my pleasure, my endeavor to meet you sometimes in future or interact with you, work with you. I'm very glad, I'm very happy. I would thank Hiranmay ji that he organized this meeting with you, and I'm very glad to be in touch with you. Very nice.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Nagarajan,
Pleasure
sir,
is
for-
mine too, and I'll be in touch with you, sir. We'll
Sure.
keep
Sure.
in touch.
Thank you, Nagarajan, sir.
Yeah.
So, Omkarji, I will just pick up two questions from the audience.
Yes, definitely.
One question is you touched upon India leveraged the cost arbitrage and created a beautiful, very large IT outsourcing industry, $1 billion industry. Now, you also touched upon from cost arbitrage to value arbitrage. We are not only competing on cost, but we are also going to compete on the value because we are now moving up the value chain.
Yes.
And in moving up the value chain, we will no more only remain a software service industry, but will also become a product industry. So how is your vision, or how do you think India in 2030, 2040 in terms of realizing this dream?
Actually, you are not asking your question. It's your vision. In fact, it is getting manifested in the words, right? And I share your vision. In fact, if we are trying to indicate that in times to come, India is going to be the technology superpower in the entire world, that is what we both are actually trying to talk, and that is going to happen. Look, I would like to refer about China, though it is untested to talk about China. But when people used to refer about China 20 years before, or even 15 years before, they used to talk about China as a cheap destination, less value destination, or manufacturing outsourcing destination. And all these things were being attributed to them. But then if you look at today, though it's we don't like that nation, but if you look at their story of success, now they are the super fine manufacturing nation in the entire world. They are on the top of the value chain, and they are the manufacturing giant, superpower. They can manufacture anything. They bring economy of scale, innovation, and they are creating world-class brands and products now, quality. Now, if you try to foresee or visualize where we would be in another 20 years in terms of technology, I would say that we will be ahead of Europe, ahead of China, ahead of US in terms of technology products, software technology products, because we are going to ride on the talent that we have, IT outsourcing, that is becoming foundation. The way it helped China to become a manufacturing superpower in the world. Initially, they were like us. They were doing work for a very bottom of the value chain. Slowly, they moved up. The same thing we have already done. Now we are trying to capitalize on the IT outsourcing's strength, cost arbitrage, value chain arbitrage, and they are now going to create products which would sweep the entire world. It may be possible that another 10 years down the line, we may create social technology platform, social networking platform, which may replace the entire Facebook and Twitter and all. Maybe that, because we may create a very holistic, a very strong tacit platform with less of the cost. We may become so competitive that we may sweep them out like ZTE swept Cisco, is challenging Cisco now today. Their 5G gears are now threat to the entire world. Maybe that in another 10 years, our software products may become, threat to the world, because we may sell a window, we may sell an operating system for no cost tomorrow, which may become so costly for our US counterpart. So this is a matter of self-esteem, resolution of our, and we have tested that strength now. We know that we are able to create unicorns. We have successfully run Flipkart, Oyo, Ola. All these are basically not because that this is a new model. It's all old model tested in US. Why we are becoming successful? Because of talent and cost arbitrage. Because we are bringing new things here. That story can go on and go on. And that may, I foresee personally, I must say that in another 10 years, we will become the IT superpower, not only IT services superpower. We will become IT superpower for only two things: a very strong IT services industry, the zeal of the people, enthusiasm of the young boys and girls, and talent we have and the market we have. So sooner another 10 years, we may not require world-class product from outside the world. Our products will overpower and sweep in the entire world because we will be cost effective. We'll be efficient product creator. That is the way I look at it. It's my
Wonderful,
own
sir.
observation. There is no book written on this. That is how I am seeing this journey.
Dreams will come to reality and then they will become a book. So that's how it goes on. One more question to add
Yeah,
on
why
this.
not? Yeah.
To realize this vision, you told about we have a demographic dividend, we have skills, and also sometime when in the deep technology will come, when industry 4.0 will come, or when the modern technology will evolve, our academia also need to catch because we represent Department of Higher and Technical Education in Government of Gujarat. We have 80 universities and 5,000 colleges. Many of them we read that most of the students are not skilled, they are not fitting into the gap. A lot of things from the industries are talked about. How do you think academia also need to plan bigger? Like industry is thinking to deliver far sighted, far ahead. Do you think academia also need to play a role? Because if we are teaching the old school things for a new school game, I think we will not
Another
be.
great question. In fact, it's not good question. It's a great question. In fact, I forgot to mention that uh, in STPI, we find that we cannot do anything in this country unless we bring academia on the board. So that is why every center of excellence or incubator we are creating, it is being created in collaboration with academia itself. If you recall me what I said, the center of excellence in augmented reality and virtual reality that is being that was established by STPI was established in IIT Bhubaneswar. The electronic system incubator was created in University of Delhi. Why? Because we could have created in our own facility. We wanted the academia to collaborate because we firmly believe, as you also believe, that unless the academia, the teachers, the young boys and girls, students, they all don't work together, the same kind of strength, or I would say that results may not come because the academia, the industry, the startup community at large have to collaborate in very seemingly, very continuous manner. Because if try to give you an example, like curriculum creation, if suppose for an example that if startup industry and academia work together to create curriculum, then there could be a dynamic creation of curriculum because the teachers would learn from a startup young boy and girl. Oh, he's trying to create this kind of things, collaboration of these technologies, because now these compartmentalization of subject is not desired anymore. So discipline, collaboration, subject collaboration, dynamic creation of curricula, all these things have become necessity. And the industry, actually, I would say that academia, the universities, they themselves have to become center of excellence. They have to drive innovation from there. They have to solve the problems of industry and nation from the soil of the campus. The campus has to become transform itself from a degree awarding place to actually innovation place, technology creation place. And I must like to invoke the times of Taxila and Nalanda. Taxila was solving entire problem of the nation. Taxila was actually taking care of the defense of our borders. The Professor Chanakya and his friends there, they were actually devising the strategy to defend the Indian sovereignty and borders from the aggressors. So apart from development of knowledge, technology, curriculum, student, teachers, politicians, kings, they were also defending the borders. The university had to transform in that role. Unless we transform to that role, we cannot solve our problems. So I actually, you ask me with this same vision and believing in what I'm sharing here, we have made it essential that each and every center of excellence that we create has to have a very meaningful and real collaboration with academia. It is not just for a namesake or some partnership. So that is the vision, and this is essential for us to really grow the way we foresee to grow. And when I referred to, or I mentioned that India is going to be IT superpower, I always stated that keeping in view that our academia is going to play a role there, not without this. So that I had in my mind, but I forgot to mention.
Wonderful. So you were saying that in the triple helix structure of the development, industry, academia, and government, all three need to play their role.
And young boys and girls.
Yeah.
Young
So
boys
this,
and girls.
this is, in fact, just to highlight what we are doing in Gujarat, we started with a student startup and innovation policy in 2017. This is the only of its kind policy in the country, in which we fund 1,000 teams at the idea level. So all these young boys and girls, they come with an idea, we give them 2 lakh rupees upfront at the idea level. And then when they come back with a proof of concept, we give them around 30 lakhs rupees, up to 30 lakhs rupees to 300 teams to demonstrate to create a product. Now, once they demonstrate a product and enterprise, we incubate them and give them additional angel and other network support systems. So what we are trying to do in this entire process is to build an ecosystem and create an innovation pipeline. And that's what is an important ecosystem that we are trying to build. And also all the universities and innovation centers, as you mentioned, also need to be a part of the entire ecosystem in academia. That's what we have done. And as a consequence to that, we have filed around 671 patents by now, and around 800 student teams have ventured into enterprise. So those are the kind of efforts that we have done under the Student Startup and Innovation Policy. And I have an institution who is trying to galvanize, trying to scale this up, and trying to take it forward to next. So I think we lost you for a second, but I was telling that the spirit that you talked about, the ideas that said about, exactly what we are trying to implement today in the Government of Gujarat through iHub. Sir, on behalf of Government of Gujarat and iHub, I would like to thank you so much for finding out time for us, guiding us, and also giving us the vision how India could be a superpower, leveraging innovation, technology, startups. I'm sure very soon Government of Gujarat and STPI iHub will come together to closely chase the dream for Mother India and ensure that we regain our